On this show, we follow the money, and when VSiN decided to launch our own store, the smart money was on Shopify. Getting the VSiN store off the ground was easier than we expected, and Shopify's templates and AI tools had us look incredible and professional from day one. Zero coding required. Shopify checkout keeps sales moving smoothly, and returning customers can complete a purchase in one click. Built-in analytics, you always know what's selling and where your customers are coming from and how to keep the momentum going. When questions come up, and they will, Shopify's AI assistant Sidekick is there with answers so you never lose momentum. You can check out the store at vsin.com/store. And if you're ready to build your own, all you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/vsin. Shopify.com/vsin. Again, that's shopify.com/vsin.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Win-lose coming up. We'll put a bow on the World Cup and a 350 and a 200-to-1 shot cashed over the weekend. Now time for America's College Football Insider, Brett McMurphy. Follow him on X at Brett_McMurphy's on the Progressive Guest Line on 3 Sports. And he caused a ruckus earlier today at SEC Media Day as he sat down with Eli Drinkwitz, Missouri head coach. How about what he told you, that they got the talking points already, Brett, even though they haven't won a national title in 4 years?
Yeah, they're ready to go, Paulie. They've they got it all lined up. The toughest conference in America. They're going to a 9th conference game. He actually had said this a couple of months ago, that the coaches were basically told if they go to a 9th conference game, then the college football playoff would expand beyond 12 teams. Uh-huh. So that's why they agreed to do it. But of course, they went ahead and went to the 9 games, and now the college football playoff is not expanding. So they are concerned how it will impact the conference. And there's a lot of concern within the SEC of how the selection committee will value the SEC teams with that additional loss. Will they value their strength of schedule? And I guess it depends on how good you think the SEC is based on that strength of schedule.
Okay. Now, how about what he said, that the Big Ten has an unfair advantage because they don't play a tough non-conference? Yeah. How about that? That's getting all the press and all the hype and nonsense today.
Right. Well, I mean, he is accurate, but the Big Ten can play a non-conference power team if they like. They're not required to. And obviously he's referring to Indiana. Indiana does not play a non-conference power conference team, but they won the national championship and they went undefeated. Mm-hmm. So, would they have won the national championship if they would have played Texas in the non-conference? Would they not have won the national title? I don't necessarily buy that. Or Ohio State and Michigan won the national title the 2 years before that. They both played Power 4 non-conference teams. But obviously Indiana does not, so that grabs a lot of the headlines. One thing, I don't know if you guys saw this tweet I put out, but Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, is talking about how this is the best football conference in the country. So I'm going to ask you, he said, no one has created the weekly competition as the SEC. We believe we are the best conference in college football. That obviously got a lot of reaction for a league that has not won a national title in 4 years. Right. So, Paulie, pop quiz real quick.
Yep.
The SEC, in the 3 years that the Big Ten has won their last 3 national championships, the SEC has played in 10 playoff games against other Power 4 opponents. 10 games, the SEC, the last 3 years in the college football playoff. Mm-hmm. 10 games. What's the record? What do you guess it is?
3-7.
4-6 for me.
You both are over. 2-8.
Oh,
2-8. And to put that into a little more perspective, both of those wins were by Texas. Texas beat Clemson a couple of years ago, and then they beat Arizona State. The only other wins by the SEC in the college football playoff were in 2 SEC versus SEC games One team wins, one team loses. And Ole Miss beat Tulane, a group of 5 teams. So the mighty SEC in the last 3 years is 2-8. You know what the ACC is? They're 3-2. Miami's got more wins in the last year than the SEC does in the previous 3 years, all their schools combined.
That's incredible. That's a great tidbit, but it goes, remember when they kept saying when we go to the playoff, we're going to win it every year. Well, they're 0 for 3, and they haven't won it in 4 years. And then that's the biggest stat to me. The biggest indictment of the conference is what you just said. So they keep trotting out with this. You know, I never heard this, by the way, until the BCS was created with the week in, week out grind and the toughest. I never heard that until the games are on ESPN and CBS.
I guess, you know, what's kind of frustrating for, you know, specifically non-SEC people is you continually hear the drumbeat about how tough the SEC is, and it's the toughest gauntlet in sports. ESPN Football Power Index put out their top 25 teams or top 25 rated schedules, and all 16 of the SEC teams rated in the top 20. And it's like, okay, on one hand, I can see how that works with all the power ratings and all that, but what has happened on the field in the last 3 years has not translated to those being the best conference. And it's getting to the point now where you've got people debating, well, we're the best conference from top to bottom. Look, if you want to say you have the best teams, if you have the best worst 6 teams and your conference are better than my conference's worst 6 teams, then that's great. But nobody cares about that. All anybody cares is about is who wins the national championship. And when the SEC won the national championship, they had 13 national titles in a 17-year span, which was incredible. It will never, ever happen again. You never heard about how great the SEC was from top to bottom, but by God, you heard that they were national champs every year. Now that they're not winning the national championships, now they're touting, well, we're the deepest conference. We're the strongest conference from top to bottom. Well, okay, you've got a 4-year drought going right now. And Paulie, I'll tell you this right now. I think they go to a 4th year without a title. I don't think an SEC team will win the national championship this year.
I'm with you on that one too. Yeah. What does?
Okay, Brett.
Go ahead, JJ. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Paul. No, I want to ask on these SEC teams though, Brett, because you got Texas a little under 7-1. Then you have Georgia a little under 9-1. Then you got Kiffin and LSU 18-1. Do you agree with that assessment? Texas, Georgia, LSU. Is that how you'd rank them 1, 2, and 3?
As far as the strongest teams, yes. As teams to win the playoffs, not necessarily. Because again, I just was talking about the strength of schedule in the SEC. The Texas does have one of the more difficult schedules in the country. They have Ohio State out of conference. They've also got Oklahoma. They have to go at LSU, at A&M. I mean, potentially they could lose 3 games. And I don't care what schedule these teams play in the SEC. The selection committee has shown that it will not put a 9-3 team, a non-championship 9-3 team in the playoff. So with Texas, they've got to win 10 games. I think their over/under is 9.5. Georgia is 9.5. That's the only 2 teams in the SEC, guys, that's over 9 wins. So are you telling me the SEC is only going to have 2 teams potentially with 10 wins or more? If so, they're only going to get 2 teams in a playoff, and that's why I don't think they can win it. Georgia's, you know, they've got, you know, Oklahoma, they've got at Alabama, Florida, you know, the usual suspects. They get Georgia Tech out of conference at home, so that's not as tough. But you know, I agree with you. I think those are the 3 strongest teams, but I do think they are going to beat up on each other, because I don't think back when Saban was winning, I don't think there's a team that is Saban's teams were always head and shoulders above everybody else. The SEC is so much more balanced at the top now. You can add Ole Miss into that mix. You know, that they kind of beat up on each other now, and they don't have anybody that's head and shoulders that then can go on to the playoffs and succeed and have a nice run. And I think that's what's really hurt the SEC. And I think it continues again this year.
What do you expect out of Kiffin in year 1?
I think vastly is probably too strong of a word, but I think they are vastly overrated.
Okay.
I think everyone's, they're the trendy pick. It's, Kiffin's coming there. Look what he did at Ole Miss. He's going to come in and snap his fingers and they're going to win a national title. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they'll seal Club Clemson in the opener, but then when they get into SEC play, I mean, at that Ole Miss game on September 19th, it's bad when the Oxford police are already sending out warnings about, fans and how to not to react when Lane Kiffin comes to Ole Miss. That game will be incredible.
Right.
I just think ultimately the pressure on him will wear them down. I don't think they're as strong. Sam Leavitt, obviously a very good quarterback at Arizona State. See how he translates into the SEC. I just think there's the hype. Anytime you guys know this, anytime there's this much hype on something, it usually doesn't live up to the hype. I think that's what's going to happen to LSU, but LSU fans don't care. They brought him in. They paid all this money. They're expecting one thing, and that's a national championship.
Great job today. Keep it up, and we'll talk to you soon, and enjoy the SEC Media Days. Also, great job at the ACC last week. Thanks, Brett.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
All right, Brett McMurphy, America's College Football Insider. That's incredible. That is unbelievable. Did he watch the Indiana-Alabama game? It was like they didn't belong on the same field. More on that coming up next and what they said today with the talking points at SEC Media Day. And win-lose, a 350-1 shot came in on Saturday. Follow the money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Let me get your attention real quick, podcast listeners. I've got something for you that almost feels too good to be true. First, credit where credit's due. If you're listening to this podcast, you're already leveling up your betting game. You're riding along with our best bets and top angles. And when there's a good game on, you're getting involved with a few props and alt markets as well. There's one more layer if you really want to step things up, and that's VSiN Pro. I've mentioned it before, but things are only getting better for our pro subscribers. We just rolled out our MLB prop projections, breaking down some of the best edges across strikeouts, hits, home runs, and more. And that's on top of everything else pro subscribers already get, including public betting splits, expert picks, and betting guides across the sports calendar. If you haven't tried it yet, stop sleeping on it. You can get your first month just $9.99 or save big with promo code POD26 on the annual subscription. Hit the link in the description and start cashing in with VSiN Pro. All right, back to the show.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah. This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Paulie and JJ, we'll get to the MLB card in 15 minutes. A good card. Red Sox, see if they can keep this winning streak going and panic in the streets in New York. This is a great story. So we've touched on some of the big payouts already. A $2 parlay paid $8,800. A $4 parlay can pay $140,000. They just need the Yankees. But our next guest won $110,000 on the Open Championship. Seth Fast joins us now as he bet Ryan Fox. And there's the ticket that he bet at DraftKings. He's got the T-shirt on as well. He's on the Progressive guest line. What a story here, my friend. Take us through your decision when you made this bet and why you decided $55 on the dart throw here.
Well, every week I bet on golf. I take the same about 10 golfers. I usually take 7 golfers that are of Asian descent, and then I take the 3 Cams. I take Cam Young, Cam Champ, and I take one of the other Cams. And then I just throw 4 randoms at the board, and I hope for the best. I woke up late on Thursday thinking I was going to put my bets in, and it started already, so it went live. And I just went down the board. I found some guys, and I just threw darts, and luckily it hit, and it's wild.
That was it. There was no handicapping.
Luckily it hit.
Oh my God!
I love this, Paulie. I absolutely love this. Here's what I need to know, though, Seth. When is the moment for you when it registered? Holy smokes, I got a chance of hitting this one. Was it after the 62? even on Sunday? Like, when was the moment you started to like fantasize this, dare I say, reality?
Friday night, as I left the office, I told a few of the guys I'm going golfing with next week. If they win and you sweat this out with me, I got your golf rounds in Saratoga next week. And the phone didn't stop ringing Saturday. And then yesterday, I was on the golf course myself. I didn't pay attention till hole 11, and I was getting yelled at across the fairway. He's down 1, he's down 2, he's even. And I got home on hole 16. I told my wife, she knew exactly what was going on, and we just sat there pacing. And it was sick, absolutely sick. And on the 17th, he missed that putt by inches. So I was preparing for a 3-hole playoff, preparing to hedge, and I sort of didn't have to in the playoff.
What did you do before the round started, or what was going on in play? And also, can you share the story of that you had another ticket on him? Like, just take me through the whole process of what's the cash out, when it's offered, when does it stop, and everything you're doing that day.
Sure. 7:26 in the morning on Thursday, I woke up. I said, "Oh crap! I forgot to bet the British Open." I put my bets in. I went over to that was through Caesars. I went to DraftKings, and I didn't ever write down who I bet. So sometimes I have the same guys 2, 3, 4 times with all the different sites. I ended up putting multiple bets in on DraftKings, and I just watched the matches. On Thursday afternoon or Friday morning, I started looking at Caesars, and Caesars started showing cash out options for Ryan Fox. And it wasn't a lot, and no cash out options on DraftKings. Saturday came, the number got to 4,500 and nothing on DraftKings. Then it went to 15,000, and then Ryan Fox went into the trap. And I got my buddy on the phone. I asked him, what am I supposed to do here? And he goes, you know the rules. We never cash out. I go, well, we have to cash out somewhat. So I ended up cashing out $11,000 with Caesars. I free rolled with DraftKings. And then I decided on hole 17, I really need to hedge a little bit. So my plan was to put $8,000 at, I think it was minus 107 on Cam Young. But I didn't have my reading glasses on, and I ended up putting $8,000 back on Ryan Fox. So I sort of had him 3 times, and it was a good day yesterday.
You didn't have your
I'd say so.
You didn't have his glasses on.
I'd say so.
Oh my God!
You know what? Sometimes mistakes are a thing of beauty, Seth.
Yes.
I know it.
Glasses,
Not quite to that extent.
To
Hey, listen, it worked out pretty well for you. Was Young the guy, though, that you were the most worried about? He had to be, right?
For sure. And he's won a few tournaments this year, and I've made some money on my 3 cam guys. So yeah, for sure. You know, with I was free rolling for most of the year. I had Tom Kim last week at 64-1 as well.
Okay.
You know, so it's just like you guys said, it's just we like to call it a $100,000 scratch off I just had.
Incredible story. Seth Fast, our guest, won over $100,000 on Fox. Bet him Thursday at 2,001. Hit it again. Then bet him on accident. Didn't have his reading glasses on. Took the cash out for 11,000 on Caesars. Let it ride on DK. What was your biggest hit coming into this tournament?
In golf or in general?
In general.
I think some 16 round robins here and there.
Okay. Are you okay with them taking the taxes out off the top?
I don't really have a choice, do I?
Yeah. Okay. You get that out of the way.
They didn't give me any options. It was, I got the love letter saying congratulations. Now we're taking 34% from your money.
Okay.
Still, I reach out to my CPA. He knows what he has to do, and we'll go from there.
That's it. That's exactly it, Seth. At that point, you almost have to listen to the professionals where it's like, do I want to take this out now? Do I want to wait until tax day? If I were you, and listen, it's not my money, so you can do whatever the hell you want with it. I would want the money taken out. That way there's no funny business. There's no bill waiting for me at the end of the year. You know what I mean, dude? Like, take it out, and then whatever we get, we get. Let's go.
Right. I saved some money before football season, so it's. I told my wife last night. I think we're going to put it all on the Jets to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, come on! What are you doing? You want to waste it at least and get some, have some fun with it.
You'd be better off, Seth, taking that money and lighting it on fire. You know what I mean?
Right.
It'd be more
100%.
entertaining than watching the Jets try to go and win a Super Bowl this year. I promise.
I hear you, for sure.
How about a trip? Trip?
I was just out in Vegas last week for the World Series of Poker, so
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we'll make a trip back in a few weeks to sign up for Circa.
Wow, that'd be excellent.
Okay. So you got all this money now. You're a golf guy, which I love. You play all the time. You're betting on it. Now that you got a little extra loot in your pocket, if there's a splurge round set that now you can take advantage of, that maybe you weren't going to take advantage of, but now you can because, hey, you're playing with house money as far as I'm concerned. What's the golf course that you're going to try to get on or try and play with a little extra loot in the pocket?
Well, I'm a local to Bethpage Black, so I'm a little spoiled. I'm 5 minutes down the road, so I play that quite a bit. Obviously I have to go out to Pebble.
Good choice.
Oh, he's got to do it.
Yeah.
Paulie's got to do it. I've never been. I think a Pebble trip now needs to be taken care of for the fall. Do it in September when the weather's nice.
Bucket list.
For sure.
Do it. I'm glad you reached out. It's an incredible story. Congrats, and we'll catch up with you and stop in when you come to Circa as well.
100%.
Thank you. That is Seth.
Good stuff, Seth. Congrats, baby.
That fast. Did he say Jets? Did I hear that right?
He did. I didn't realize he was a Long Island guy. I thought he was a Massachusetts guy. I would have been picking his brain on all of his Long Island golf courses, Paulie. You know I like to play.
Sure, yeah. You get after it, right? Yeah, you got the bad foot though. You got to be careful with going.
Well, listen. You know this. I'm on vacation next week.
Yeah.
I am doing everything in my power to make sure that I can go and hobble around the golf course in Ocean City, New Jersey next week. That is because it's bad enough I can't run. I like to run. I've run my half marathons, and we got like this picture perfect, gorgeous day in New York today, Paulie. Like it is. I've been nonstop belly aching about the weather, heat, the smoke, the fog, all this crazy stuff with the wildfires.
Absolutely.
Today, it's like a pristine 80-degree, no humidity day like they have in San Diego. Like it's paradise, absolute paradise. If I could do the show outside, I would do the show outside. And I see all these people running in the morning, and I'm like, oh, man, I'm hobbling around. I want to be with them. I'm not missing out on that golf round. As long as I can swing, it's pain tolerance, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. We talked to Ozzy a couple times on the show, TMI Ozzy, and he also won six figures. He bet Highsmith when he went out early on Saturday, but was way behind and then made the incredible run. There were huge odds on Young, but to see 2,000 to 1 on Thursday, and he was, 750 to 1. I think it was Saturday or Friday. I can't remember, Saturday or Friday. And then the 62 and then coming back and then the position to win. And then he's going to hedge. He doesn't have his reading glasses on. And he bets him again after he had cashed out as well.
How many people, Paulie, go to hedge, do exactly what Seth just did, and get screwed and get absolutely devastated, thinking they had thrown a hedge bet, and then they're looking in their betting account saying, "Well, where's the hedge bet?" At least in this gentleman's case,
sure.
He gets to go and win again.
Yeah. Well,
you can't have it better. Honestly, you're done for the year now. Like you're probably due to lose like 30 bets in a row at this point. Yeah. That's just the way it goes.
Well, that's also great from Seth too, that the no cash out. And like they took it off and they're on this 17th hole. And then it's hard to maneuver there, but you got to do stuff in play, which then again, how much are they going to take in play when you're on the 17th hole of a major golf tournament as well? But how a couple spots at the cash out disappeared. Just a phenomenal run. And a great story, 4-day run, and he wins on one ticket alone, $110,000. A great MLB card. The Red Sox have done this for the first time since 1948, and I'll make a strong case for the Phillies coming up next. Paulie Howard, John Jastrzemski, Follow the Money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Real Fugazi coming up. Roll on with the MLB card. Greg's Hoops Peterson joins us now on the Progressive guest line with a lot of plays. Gatling gun, a lot to get to. And we'll get to the Miz, who's a 220 favorite, coming up in this one with the Brewers. Let's start with your angle, because I know JJ just mentioned it, Greg, and thanks for the time, how you love to play against these teams off Sunday Night Baseball.
Oh, absolutely. It always just feels like there's a hangover effect, especially when you have to travel. Like for the Los Angeles Dodgers, I recognize that going from New York to Philadelphia, it's not like you're traveling halfway across the country or anything like that. But at the same time, you get done later than all these teams, especially in the case of the Yankees and the Dodgers with having to play 18 innings yesterday. Dodgers helped out by Yoshinobu Yamamoto throwing that complete game, but the bullpen is spent. These guys are a little bit more tired, so I really do think that you get a great angle being able to fade both of these teams on Sunday Night Baseball. So making my card today was both the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Philadelphia Phillies for a little bit of a state of Pennsylvania special.
Okay. How about the Brewers?
Wow, like that, Paulie.
Yep.
Philly, Pittsburgh special. Not quite Philly special. I know Paulie and I are very much aligned here on the Phillies. I think it's a great spot, Greg. When do you get Christopher Sanchez and that home dominance at a minus 140 price? I can't say no to that.
I'm right there with you. He's given up 2 home runs in 73 innings at home thus far this season. A sub-1 ERA, 4.96 ERA away from home, so obviously you get those big home and road splits. And I get it with the Dodgers being a team that averages 6 runs per game away from home. They've been the best road offense in all of baseball, but Emmett Sheehan is another guy that struggles when he's away from home. For his career, over 2 points higher on his ERA when he's away from home rather than at home. Away from home gives up about 1.9 home runs per 9 innings. And for this Philadelphia Phillies team, they average nearly a full run per game more at home rather than away from home. So everything just reads right here. Those home and road splits on both sides, along with what we were talking about with that Sunday night, shall we say, fade angle.
Brewers run line with the Miz. How do you want to attack it?
Yep, I'm looking at the run line mainly because it's a little bit of a roll of the dice when you take the run line of a home team because you're not guaranteed those ninth inning at-bats. Freddie Peralta's just been terrible, though. In his last 5 starts, 21 and a third innings, he's given up 23 runs. Now, I also did play the over, mainly because with Jacob Mizorowski, you have to have a little bit of question mark. He misses that last start going into the All-Star break. He does not pitch in the All-Star game. I think that was a little bit more precautionary than anything else. This is the most amount of innings that he's going to throw in his career. This is a case where, as well, he throws over 100 miles per hour consistently. So you want to be able to protect that arm, but you do have to have a little bit of caution there. And also for the Milwaukee Brewers, they just small ball you to death. Freddie Peralta is going to be fired up going up against his old team. This is his first time pitching in Milwaukee since he got dealt away. But you know who else is going to be fired up? Those guys on the Milwaukee Brewers that know exactly what he's going to throw. And when you have a pitcher going against his former team, it goes one of 2 ways. Either he dominates, he goes out there 10 plus strikeouts, 7 plus innings, doesn't give up a single run, or he gives up like 7 plus runs in like 3 innings. Like, you really don't get a lot of in between in these spots. I think that this is just a bad spot for the Mets because they have been your biggest money burner all season long. There's just no real reason to back Freddie Peralta at this point. So I took the Brewers on the run line. I was able to find that at a little bit of plus money overnight. I like the total to the over.
Listen, Greg, I'm not going to fight you on the Brewers play. I do think we're going to get the very best out of Freddie Peralta today. I don't know why. Call it a hunch. Call it a weird feeling. Maybe a little bit of an audition for him as he's getting ready for the trade deadline where he's going to be on the move between now and August 3rd. So I looked at 6, 7, 8 strikeouts. He does miss bats. You could go and get your Brewers run line, but I think I will be playing Freddie Peralta to go get some strikeouts against his former team. I want to hit on this one in the American League Central. Twins. Joe Ryan's been throwing the ball great. Cleveland trying to hold on to first place within this division. Bibee has unbelievable numbers against the Twins throughout his career, and he's plus money this evening at plus 113. What's the cap on Minnesota and Cleveland?
And I did take the plus money with the Cleveland Guardians. Like you mentioned it, Joe Ryan's a better starting pitcher in this spot. Tanner Bibee's always been a little bit better at home. You mentioned it, he's always done well throughout his career against the Minnesota Twins. And I think that he's going to do even better here because Byron Buxton being out just really hurts his Twins lineup. Like him in the lineup versus out of the lineup, it's night and day. In the 10 games that they've been without him, they've only been averaging 3.7 runs per game. And I don't want to fade Joe Ryan. I want to fade everyone not named Joe Ryan for the Minnesota Twins. Bottom 5 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Mentioned it, 3.7 runs per game without Byron Buxton in the fold. For the Guardians, no doubt about it. It's been a rough offense, not having Jose Ramirez, Ana Martinez. That has caused for a real lack of power. We're finding some guys like Travis Pazan and company that are starting to move the line a little bit more for the team, but I'm going to bank on the back end bullpen. I'm going to bank on Tanner Bybee always having better numbers at home rather than away from home. And just for lack of a better term, the Twins finding a way to screw this up with their bullpen, a bullpen that was used quite a bit over the weekend as well. So I did take plus money here on the Guardians on the money line.
Paulie and JJ VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Follow the Money. Greg Peterson, our guest on the Progressive Guest Line. How about the Nats and Rockies? Alvarez against Freeland in a total of 12.5.
Yeah, 12.5 is starting to get a little bit too high for me. I took the over at 11.5. I can't give it out at 12.5. I think that's starting to get a little bit too lofty, mainly because Andrew Alvarez has actually been really good for the Washington Nationals. You look at that ERA right around about a 4.04. It doesn't necessarily sparkle, but he's giving up 0.4 home runs per 9 innings, 9.7 strikeouts per 9. I mean, he and Cade Cavalli, I really think, are the future for this Washington Nationals team. And right now, the Nationals have gone up from being more around minus 120 to minus 125, minus 130. I still like it here because Kyle Freeland should be renamed to Kyle Free Runs. He's posting up a 7.36 ERA, 1.8 home runs allowed per 9 innings. The fielding independent does indicate that there might be a little bit of positivity. It's been indicating that for years for Kyle Freeland, and it just doesn't come. He just doesn't miss a lot of bats. He gives up a lot of general contact. And now you have to go up against a Washington Nationals team that is number one in the big leagues in terms of run creation. I know that the Athletics are on a miserable run, but they put up 23 runs in the first game of that series. Like, this team has so many guys like James Wood, Luis Garcia, CJ Abrams, Curtis Mead. So many guys are giving you 15-plus home runs. It's a really impressive lineup. So it's a circumstance where I do like the Washington Nationals here on the money line. At that 11.5, I like the over. Anything of 12-plus just gets a little bit out of range.
Okay, Greg, two of the hottest teams in baseball. Red Sox, 13 straight victories. Baltimore playing much better. They're all of a sudden back in the playoff race. You got to lay 150 and change with Boston. Is it 14 tonight at Fenway?
I think so. I was able to find more of a minus 140 personally on the Boston Red Sox. Once you get past minus 150, I think that there's different ways to be able to play it. Like, I do like this total to the over, mainly because for Shane Baz, I do think that he gets hit around a little bit here, and we're finally starting to see these home and road splits iron out for the Red Sox. For the Red Sox, when they entered in that series against the Rays, going into that double dip to start off the second half, they were actually 10 games below 500 and averaging just 3.55 runs per game at home. That was dead last in all of baseball. Weiler Abreu has really been able to pick it up, had that huge home run on Saturday to be able to uplift them to victory. Wilson Contreras has been awesome for this team. You've got the likes of Masataka Yoshida, these mix and match guys, Anthony Siegler, being able to move line for this team. It just looks like a completely different Red Sox offense than what we saw towards the beginning part of the year. And I just trust in Peyton Tolley as well. He gives up about 1 home run per 9 innings, a sub-350 ERA. Recognize that Shane Baz has been able to keep the ball in the air, but he really doesn't miss a ton of bats. He gives up over 3 walks per 9 innings. But like I said, once you get past the minus 150, maybe you want to look a little bit elsewhere. But personally, I took a shot here on the Red Sox on the money line. I do like that 8.5 to the over.
One more. How about Junk and the Marlins at a plus price? Blanco favored is making his first start in 429 days off Tommy John.
Yeah, I took plus money on Junk. Typically, you don't want to be betting on Junk, but I'm going to be willing to do so here because with Ronald Blanco, you mentioned it. He's making his first start in over 400 days. And I looked at his minor league rehab appearances. Okay. He actually had a 1.06 ERA. Very misleading numbers, though. He was getting fewer than 7 strikeouts per 9 innings. Swing and miss stuff wasn't there. The velocity is not where it once was for him. Additionally, he only went 17 total innings, which means that the overall length is going to be a little bit of an issue. Now, the good news for the Astros, they've actually been a top 3 team in terms of bullpen ERA since June 1st, but you're going to be requiring a lot out of that bullpen. And for the Miami Marlins, top record in all of baseball since June 1st. Recognize that they had a rough series against the Milwaukee Brewers. That's just going to happen when you face off against the Milwaukee Brewers. Getting plus money on a guy in Jansen Junk that doesn't really hurt himself. Less than 2.5 walks, 1.2 home runs allowed per 9 innings. Took a shot on that 8.5 over, and the Marlins on the money line.
Good luck. Thanks for a few minutes. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate the time.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right. Good card. DeGrom goes for Texas, $1.70. Again, you got Arizona looks like a good price, $1.50 against the horrible A's and the rut they're in. Walker's pitching for the first time in 11 days. Kansas City's lost 10 of his last 11 starts. And I expect runs in that Colorado game, too. There's a 12.5 up tomorrow, and it's Michaelis against Lorenzen in that game in Coors coming up tomorrow. So a strong card. And again, like you said, JJ, something's got to give in the Boston game as both teams are hot and see if the Red Sox can make it 14 in a row. Real or Fugazi coming up next. If the movie is 2 hours and 50 minutes, you cannot do this to me.
On this show, we follow the money, and when VSiN decided to launch our own store, the smart money was on Shopify. Getting the VSiN store off the ground was easier than we expected, and Shopify's templates and AI tools had us look incredible and professional from day one. Zero coding required. Shopify checkout keeps sales moving smoothly, and returning customers can complete a purchase in one click. Built-in analytics, you always know what's selling and where your customers are coming from and how to keep the momentum going. When questions come up, and they will, Shopify's AI assistant Sidekick is there with answers so you never lose momentum. You can check out the store at vsin.com/store. And if you're ready to build your own, all you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/vsin. Shopify.com/vsin. Again, that's shopify.com/vsin.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Back on Follow the Money. Good to talk to Julian Edlow from DraftKings. I mentioned earlier in the show, I don't think there's any way Odyssey loses for Best Picture, and that's up at DraftKings, and it's moved in the last few days. Also, something that continues to move, and it's crazy. And perfect timing with Julian jumping on to talk about the LeBron market next team. 4 different teams have been favored here. We're on day 21. And all hell broke loose over the weekend with the Miami movement. And Julian's on the Progressive Guest Line. Follow him on X as well. He does a great job tweeting everything out, what's going on. Appreciate the time. Hope your summer's good. What can you tell us with some updates and some tracking about what has transpired here with the LeBron market, please?
Moved all over the place, of course. And if you want to go back, what do we know? We know LeBron's not going to the Lakers because he announced he's not coming back to the Lakers. The Lakers were minus 500 at one point in time.
Yeah.
And when he said that he wasn't going to go back to the Lakers, that, you kind of get them out of there. Then it's the Warriors favored. Then it's the Cavs favored. Now it's Miami favored. Miami's gone from like plus 350 to close to even money over the weekend. So here's what I can get out from you. And I know we're talking about, like the gross amount of money bet over it, but let's just look at the splits, the overall splits. The Cleveland Cavaliers still have taken the most money, and this is at various prices because obviously the market keeps moving, but 15% of the tickets, 31% of the handle is on the Cavs. Now, here's the thing. We hear from Shams that the 76ers are in the mix, the Heat are in the mix. The Warriors have the second most money, and the Warriors are still relatively favored. Like you see right there on odds, they got a shorter price than a team that Shams is reporting is in the mix in Philly.
Yes. Golden
State keeps hanging around, and I wouldn't be stunned if for some reason it's Golden State, but they have 25% of the handle on 17% of the bets. The Sixers are 12% of the handle on 15% of the bets. The Heat make up 10% of the handle on 11% of the bets, and then everything below that is kind of crazy. I thought some of these were insane. The Wizards somehow have 4% of the handle, joining Anthony Davis, AJ Dibansa. I don't know where that money came from. But last 7 days, if we want to focus, what have people been betting in the last week since last Monday? Guess who? Not the Cavs, not the Heat, not the Sixers. Golden State Warriors, 32% of the handle on 23% of the bets over the last week. So you want to talk about an era where we are moving these markets and these markets are being bet based off big-time, prime-time reporters, your Shams, your Windhorse, your whoever. Shams has come on again and doubled or tripled down, whatever you want to call it at this point, that he thinks it's down to 3 teams: Cleveland, Philly, Miami.
Yeah.
And yet the most money over the last week is the Golden State Warriors, 32% of the handle. If you want to go below that, Cavs, 19% of the money, Philly, 18% of the money, Miami, 12% of the money. The Pacers have 7% of the money over the last week. I don't know who did that, but that was bet.
Okay, Julian, help me out here. Conspiracy theorists, line 1. LeBron is now obsessed with playing golf, which I love. As someone who is obsessed with playing golf themselves, you think about 12-month-a-year climates. And LeBron is not one of these guys where he says, hey, the NBA season's going on. You know, he's at the twilight of his career. He has an off day. He has a little time in the morning. He's getting out and he's playing these morning rounds. Can I read into the fact that, hey, Miami, a 12-month-a-year golf climate, Northern California, possible golf climate, not going to get that in Cleveland, not going to get that in Philly. Is that crazy or not so crazy?
I don't think that's crazy at all. He sat down. I don't think it was at the Fanatics Fest, but he sat down on a podcast recently and said this is going to boil down to, yes, basketball is a big part of it, but my personal life as well. And he mentioned talking to his 12-year-old daughter about how she feels. Where does she want to go? Obviously, the 2 other sons are out of the house. One of them was his teammate last year. The other one plays at Arizona. He's talking to his 12-year-old daughter to make sure that she's comfortable with where they're going to move. So if he's talking to his 12-year-old daughter about where they're going to move, I'm sure he's thinking about his golf game getting mixed in there and the weather. I do think that winning one more ring is going to be really important to him, and that's a big piece of this. But, let's just go straight from LeBron James's mouth. There's going to be personal elements that play a role in where he lands.
What do you think happens?
God, it's a good question, and I have no idea. I haven't bet the market. It's such a well-kept secret at this point. His team's doing a great job. They have on all of these things, really. I don't know where he goes. I don't have a good guess. The only thing that I'll say is you see those next team odds, and again, we're getting big-time prominent reports about 3 teams that it's down to, and there are the Warriors hanging there at that price. I just think the Warriors belong in that mix, and it would not stun me at all if he goes there, and I think there should be 4 teams being mentioned in this. And now if it's not one of those 4 teams, then my jaw will be on the floor. But hey, we had Jaylen Brown next team market up on DraftKings as well.
That's right. The
longest shot on the board, guys, was the Philadelphia 76ers at 100-1, and that came through. So I don't know. In the words of our good friend, the late great Dave Sharapan, and I'll censor myself, nobody knows squat.
Yeah, he was the best. Good point. I would be shocked if it's Golden State. How about a bet to be made in the East? What you did with some futures with Charlotte.
Yeah, so like you and I were talking a little bit before the segment, Paulie, how the East is kind of fascinating, kind of deep. These conferences are going to be deep. Nobody's going to be, like last year, Utah was literally taking guys off the floor in games where they were playing too well to almost like in-game tank, next level type of stuff. That's not going to happen anymore. There's no incentive to be the worst team, have the last record in the NBA. That doesn't get you the best shot at the first pick. In fact, it gets you worse shots, worse ping pong balls for the first pick. So I think we're going to see a lot more parity in the league this year. And a team that came up last year and was one of the best teams in the conference from January on. I went to a game in Boston and watched the Charlotte Hornets stomp out the Boston Celtics by like 40 points in the middle of that hot streak when they were the most efficient offense in the NBA. They're plus money on DK to get to 40 wins this year. I think this is going to be a very good team once again. I think they're going to improve by getting rid of LaMelo Ball, who is a little bit of a clown. He nearly lost them that first play-in game before he totally redeemed himself and hit the game winner. But you plug in Kobe White, who's a very good point guard. Your building blocks are now your wings from recent drafts in Knipple and Brandon Miller. You improve an already very good front court with the Naz Reid addition. I really like what they did there. You got Grayson Allen, another shooter coming off the bench. They have good depth. I think Charlotte's going to get into the 40s in wins, be a pretty clear playoff team in the Eastern Conference. So I did bet their win total over already.
All right, I like the sound of that. And Mitch last week, Julian, made the case for the Utah Jazz as an over, and I've already tailed them on that bet. I think their head coach is outstanding. They've obviously added a bunch of young talent, but Utah aside, give me the team in the Western Conference. We know what the deal is. It's Oklahoma City. It's San Antonio. It's these two behemoths basically on an inevitable collision course. But if there's somebody where you say to yourself, if it's not those two, I want to get in with this team, who is it?
That's a good question in the West. And I know I was on with you guys, John, with Mitch, and we closed out a Summer League segment talking about the Jazz. So we've already kind of been there, done that, covered that. The Jazz are definitely my team in the Western Conference. I think the West is a little bit tougher because you have the two heavy hitters, the two teams like floating around 60 on the win totals in OKC and San Antonio. But what that does do is give you kind of lower win totals on everybody else. So, like, I think it's kind of interesting that Golden State, who is still in the LeBron sweepstakes, I know, Paulie, you said you'd be shocked if he goes there, but Golden State's at 41.5. Is that going to be a 500 team? That seems a little low to me on them. Memphis, I think, is kind of interesting. We opened them pretty low, and they've already been bet up to 28.5. I know they did a complete turnover. Like, their core was Ja Morant, Bane, and Jaren Jackson Jr., and they're all gone. But they have some pretty viable pieces there. JVT, Jonathan Von Tobel, came on my podcast, DraftKings Network Daily Bets, and said the first thing that caught his eye, this was right when win totals came out, was Memphis. So I think a lot of these teams in like the high 20s, low to mid 30s that we perceive as not great teams are going to be pretty good value next year because they're going to be trying harder than they have in years past. There's not going to be tanking. And I think we're going to see that play out with just different looking standings overall in the NBA this season. Maybe more balanced in the East and a little bit more of a gap in the West, but I still think it's going to be a little more of the same. And we're not going to see some team just stumbling over their own feet down the stretch to 16, 17, 18 wins.
Yeah. Thanks for a few minutes and the insight, Julian. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
Good stuff. Circa Survivor documentary back for another season. This one's bigger than ever. 7 all-new episodes kick off every Wednesday starting July 22nd at 9 p.m. Eastern. This one, off the bat, has Phil Hellmuth, Greg Maddux, and others. Episode 1 takes you inside the growth of the contest, now with $18.7 million on the line and the massive Grandissimo format, raising the stakes even higher. Whether you play Circa Survivor yourself or love the drama of the season-long grind, must-watch TV. Check it out every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern on VSiN. In pocket, what we're